WOLFE GLICK has only gone and done it again. This past weekend at Euic, WOLFE GLICK came out on the top spot yet again and proved to the world that he is one of, if not the best player of all time with his signature Perish Trap team. And we are going to be covering it today, as well as a few other teams that I thought was really cool, and covering a few matches that I thought were absolutely amazing. And there was especially one that I really loved to watch yesterday, and I highly recommend that you guys watch it. If you guys enjoy this type of content, let me know by leaving a like down below, as well as maybe hitting that subscribe button and letting me know what your favorite team was this past weekend and who your favorite player was this past weekend as well. Also, if you guys attended like myself to compete, let me know how you did. But we are going to start breaking down all the teams from the Master Division, and we are going to start off with the EUIC number 7 ranked Grant led with his Miraidon team, which was actually really cool to see. I did like this. Nice to see the Terra Poison as well on the Iron Hands. The Assault Vest is pretty much standard, something that we just see all the time on Iron Hands. Quirk Drive is obviously the most standard. Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch, and Low Kick. This is pretty much what we're seeing for the main part of Iron Hands. You can take out Low Kick for Heavy Slam, but most times if you're really worried about that Zamazenta matchup, then Low Kick is the call to make there. But again, Low Kick, Heavy Slam, either or is a fantastic choice to go for. And I really do like Iron Hands. I think Iron Hands, especially with Miraidon, fits like really well. It's a good Trick Room Pokemon. It's slow enough to actually handle itself in Trick Room when it needs to. It's a very bulky Pokemon, so it's very hard to get rid of on the field. And with that Assault Vest as well, it makes it even harder to clear off the field. Iron Hands is just a brute force of nature, and I am very happy that Iron Hands has done so well in this tournament. We'll get to the top 10 usage later on in the video, but for now, we're just going to cover up the teams here. Next up is the Electric Sea Free-Graph. Again, another pretty much common partner here with Miraidon, with that Electric Sea to get that little bit extra buff. Armor Tail to prevent priority moves, going into Terra Dark as well to prevent any crazy dark type moves that want to hit you, so you get that resistance now. Foul Play, Psychic, Helping Hand, and Trick Room. And Foul Play also does extra damage because of that Terra Dark as well, so that's kind of a nice little combination there that you can do. It's very nice there. We have the Choice Band Urshifu, not Choice Scarf. It's a Choice Band, which is quite interesting as well. Normally you'd see Choice Band, if anything, on a single strike Urshifu, so seeing it on a rapid strike is quite interesting, honestly. We have the Terra Grass to steer clear of things like Rillaboom, as well as things like Amoonguss Rage Powder and or Spore. Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and U-Turn. Pretty much the Choice Scarf set, but instead of Choice Scarf, it is the Choice Band. So again, very nice to see Urshifu getting used differently as well. It's very nice. Next up, we have the Grimmsnarl. Now, me personally, when I competed this weekend, Grimmsnarl is probably the one that caught me out the most in this tournament. And I did say months and months ago that Grimmsnarl screens is so underlooked, and I still hold to that to this day. And considering that Grimmsnarl managed to get a top cut, and a very high top cut at that, I am still on that hill that Grimmsnarl screens is the way forward for Regulation G, and I will die on that hill. I will absolutely die on that hill. Foul Play, Reflect, Light Screen, and Thunder Wave with the Light Clay as well to last extra turns on those screens, with the Terra Ghost to make sure Fake Out does not stall you a turn, which is very nice there. We have the Life Orb Entei, and this is where normally you would see the Choice Band on Entei as well, but now we see the Life Orb because in this case we do get access to Protect now, which is quite nice. Entei can be a blitzing force of nature, especially with that Life Orb or the Choice Band, but nice to see that the defensive option with the Protect there, because now you get an option to do it because Life Orb does not lock you into a move. Inner Focus to prevent you from Intimidates and Flinching, which is probably the key ability for Entei. Going into the Terra Normal to make sure this Extreme Speed is extra boosted on top of this Life Orb boost. Also having Sacred Flare and Stopping Tantrum as well. Nice rounded kit for Entei. We like to see Entei do well. And finally, of course, is the Miraidon that we all know and love. I have bumped into so many Miraidons this past weekend. I have seen way too many Miraidon teams this weekend, but this one is all the same. Choice Specs, Terra Fairy, Electro Drift, Draco Meteor, Volt Switch, and Dazzling Gleam. Get ready, because you are going to see this moveset all the time with Miraidon. This is pretty much the only moveset with Miraidon. You barely see anything else with Miraidon. You always see Choice Specs, Terra Fairy with these 4 moves. It's pretty much the same way every single time. Next up, we have the number 3 slot made by Yosuke Takeyanagi with the Ice Rider Calyrex team as well. Ice Rider Calyrex also did very well in this tournament. This is the highest rating Ice Rider Calyrex in the tournament as well, which was very nice. Nice to see it get the top 3 spot. With starting off with the Chi-Yu with the Choice Scarf. Again, Choice Scarf Chi-Yu is pretty much the main set that you kind of see here. Going into Terra Ghost to again prevent those fake outs from happening, because Chi-Yu does not like getting slowed down at all. Heat Wave, Overheat, Dark Pulse, and Snarl. You have nice options there. You've got a nice Dark and Fire type option option there for stab for a single target if they have wide guard, and then you have heat wave and snarl if there is no wide guard teams that you are coming up against. So it's a very nice way to get a nice little bit of balance for Chi-Yu as well. We have the boosted energy flutter main, and most boosted energy flutter mains do run boosted energy speed. So again, this is something that is quite common with flutter main with that speed, because flutter main is just an absolute speed demon, and because of how bulky it is on the special defensive side and how just aggressive it is on the special attacking side, this thing can hit so much damage, and you don't need to invest that much EVs into the special side of things. So you've got so much room to play with on the other sides for EVs, which is quite nice. Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Icy Wind, and Protect with the Terra Fairy to get extra damage as well. This is more on the offensive side of flutter main. Normally we're used to seeing the kind of supportive side of flutter main. We do see the Icy Wind, we do see the Moonblast. Sometimes you might see a Protect, but normally we see things like a Taunt or a Thunder Wave, and it's kind of nice to see, you know, things get a little bit changed up. And again, the Dazzling Gleam's there for any teams that do not have access to wide guard, so it kind of punishes you for not getting wide guard there. The Ice Rider Calyrex with the Clear Amulet, which is quite pretty much standard with Ice Rider Calyrex, prevents the Intimidate, which is quite nice. Going into the Terra Water as well, Glacial Lance, High Horsepower, Trick Room, and Protect. Standard kit for Ice Rider Calyrex. We've seen this time and time again with Ice Rider. We go into the Cornerstone Ogerpon as well. Pretty much the same standard stuff for Ogerpon as well. Ivy, Cudgel, Power Whip, Spiky Shield, and Follow Me. We've kind of transcended out of the Wood Hammer for Cornerstone Ogerpon. The main reason for this is that normally Ogerpon would run Wood Hammer, but the only drawback with Wood Hammer is that it does recoil. If you was to use said move that does recoil on a Pokemon that has Sturdy, you're basically giving it to a Pokemon that has no ability in that sense. So a lot of people, when they do Cornerstone, exchange it for Power Whip to allow everyone to keep that Sturdy active if they so need it, which is always quite nice for Cornerstone Ogerpon as well. Yes, you are getting a bit of an accuracy decrease because Wood Hammer is 100% accurate, but you still hit the same amount of damage, and that way, again, you are not losing the Sturdy, which is more important. We have the Rocky Helmet Amoonguss. I absolutely love this set for Amoonguss. I think Rocky Helmet Amoonguss is one of the greatest things ever, and a lot of people are probably going to argue me with that, but I will again die on that hill that Rocky Helmet Amoonguss is one of the funniest and most fun Pokemon to have on your team at all times. Going into the Terra Water as well to stay clear of those Ice types, especially in the mirror matchup with Ice Rider Calyrex. You don't want to get hit with those Ice type moves, because that would be a bad idea. This time we run with a Clear Smoke, Pollen Puff, Rage Powder, and a Spore. We don't run Protect here. Normally with Amoonguss you would see something like Protect instead of a Clear Smoke, but I'm assuming this Clear Smoke is more for Pokemon like Dondozo or maybe a Calyrex or two if it runs too far out of the gate. And it's quite nice to see that you're exchanging a Protect for something also quite useful like a Clear Smoke. And again, like we said, because it's a Trick Room set, we've said this multiple times on multiple videos, that since it is a Trick Room set, we do see the Pollen Puff here, because since it will run slower than Ice Rider Calyrex, it will gain its HP back before Ice Rider even moves, which is quite nice. And then finally is the Focus Sash Urshifu. This is something that again is kind of the standard for Rapid Strike Urshifu. Going into Terra Stellar as well, not outside of the possibilities there, not outside of the common traits there for Urshifu. Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Taunt, and Detect. So a lot of people are shifting more towards this whole Taunt side of Urshifu instead of running Aqua Jet or maybe like a U-turn even. So it's kind of nice because that way you don't need to put it on a fast Pokemon like Fluttermane, because Urshifu is also quite fast, and this is only in a sense of they have like a hard Trick Room team, or they've got something that can really like put you in a bad way, and Urshifu's just a nice little tech there to kind of use that Taunt to force everybody to essentially not move, which is always just a nice thing to go for there. And I really do like Urshifu. I like that the Taunt is there. I'm still getting used to Urshifu having Taunt as well, and something that I probably want to experiment with in the future, but I am a fan of Taunt Urshifu. This is quite nice. Now I want to get something off of my chest here. The finals game of the Masters Division was an absolute crazy game. One of, if not the best game I've ever seen get played in my life watching VGC. This game was so good. It was a nail-biting game 3. It could have literally gone any single way, but Dil Yeoman's team of Miraidon was so good. It was so good. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Honestly, I honestly believe that if it was made any differently, if the RNG for all the moves was made so differently, Dil would have won. I will 100% say if the RNG was just one turn different, Dil would have won 100% of the time. It was so good. So of course we have the Choice Specs Miraidon, Terra Fairy, Electro Drift, Volt Switch, Meteor, Dazzling Gleam, been used to this. This again is the standard for Miraidon. You barely see any other Miraidon run anything differently. This is the Miraidon set here, again with the electric seed for Farigiraf, this time with the Terra Water, not the Terra Dark, to stay clear of again the Ice Rider Calyrex in case Trick Room does go up, because again there is not that many slow Pokemon besides the Iron Hands, which we'll get to in a second. So you want kind of that defense to stay up there, especially with something like Ice Rider Calyrex. We have Psychic, this time we have Roar, not Protect or not anything crazy like that, we have Roar. And this was huge. There was one part of the game where Dill had Farigiraf and Incineroar out, so Incineroar managed to pop off a knockoff, which was absolutely insane. And then not only that, Farigiraf roared his own Incineroar. Dill managed to roar his own Incineroar to switch out, because that was such an amazing play, because he wanted the damage from the knockoff, but he also needed to switch. Parting Shot would not be able to get the damage off, and switching out normally would put your own Pokemon in danger. And because Roar had minus priority, Incineroar would have always been able to switch out after the turn was essentially done, which was absolutely insane. It was such an amazing play, and honestly something I would have never even imagined doing in a game. It was such a good play, and it was so amazing. So Roar, I'm definitely going to consider using Roar in at least one of my movesets, especially for Farigiraf. This was so good. It was such an amazing tech there. We also have Trick Room and the Helping Hand as well, just in case they want to run Tailwind. So we've got a few nice things there as well. We also have the Incineroar as well, like we established before, this time with the Rocky Helmet, which is also kind of coming up in popularity now, which I will not be mad at. I think Rocky Helmet is one of my favorite items to go for here. Annoying to play against, absolutely amazing to use. It is an amazing Pokemon, honestly. Flare Blitz, knockoff, U-turn, and a Fake Out. Normally we see Parting Shot, but in this case we have the U-turn, a bit more of an aggressive Incineroar here. That way we force out more of these switches without needing, and still applying pressure, still applying damage when we so need, which is always quite nice. We have the Focus Sash Single Strike Urshifu, this time going into the Terra Dark as well. Detect, Wicked Blow, Sucker Punch, Close Combat, again standard set you would see from a Single Strike Urshifu. This time with the Iron Treads. Now this was quite interesting. Choice Banded Iron Treads was really good. I didn't get to see Iron Treads in the finals game, and I didn't see any matches for Dill's prior, so I didn't know what the Quirk Drive boosted, but I'm pretty sure it was a speed boosted Iron Treads. Going into that Terra Ghost as well to stay clear of a Fake Out, because again, since you are running Choice Band, you don't have room for Protect, so having that Choice Band there kind of takes off that pressure for Fake Out and allows you to still go really crazy with said pressure. Iron Head, High Horsepower, Rock Slide, and Steel Roller, just in case there is a terrain that is out and active, like for example say like a Rillaboom or anything like that, and you want it cleared almost immediately. Steel Roller will absolutely get rid of it without forcing you to bring out your Miraidon, or without putting your Miraidon in danger, which again I feel like is a really smart play there. It's a very good tech there. Steel Roller is definitely something to look out for as well. This is a very nicely constructed team. He's thought about a lot with this team. It was very nicely constructed to help deal with threats without putting certain Pokemon in harm's way, which was great. And then finally we have the Assault Vest Iron Hands with the Terra Poison as well to steer clear from those fairy types. Drain Punch, Low Kick, Heavy Slam, and Fake Out. No Wild Charge this time, which is also quite interesting, but again nothing that's really too crazy out of situations, because again most times since you do have the Miraidon with the 2 electric type moves, Iron Hands can kind of be free to set up its own move that's not electric. You don't want 3 electric moves in between 2 Pokemon, so having that other steel type move there is quite nice as well. So it's a quite balanced team, honestly. I feel like this is really good and really shows off what Miraidon can do. I really do like this team. But of course the main guy, the world champ difference kicked in. WOLFE GLICK came through and won EUIC with his signature Perish Trap team. This dude and Perish Trap just go so hand in hand together that it's a surefire, like at least a top cut for WOLFE if you see Perish Trap. If you see Perish Trap with WOLFE, the game is done. It's insane at this point, the amount that he's got away with Perish Trap. It's crazy. So we're going to start off with the Amoonguss with the Mental Herb. This way anything like Taunt or Encore just basically shuts it down, and Amoonguss is just ready and ready to go. With the Terra Dark as well to stay clear of any Prankster Pokemon as well. Protect, Rage Powder, Spore, and a Sludge Bomb as well, which is always quite nice. Again, standard set, especially for a non-Trick Room Amoonguss, like we've always established before. You can't have WOLFE without Incineroar. That's pretty much hand in hand at this point. It's Safety Goggles Incineroar, this time with the Terra Bug, not with the Terra Ghost, because WOLFE actually ran Protect with the Incineroar. You don't really see Incineroar running Protect, which is always like, it's just not something that you think of. So seeing Incineroar actually have Protect Protect means that you don't need to waste your Terra on something like a Terra Ghost. You can run Terra Bug instead, and again, since you're not really hitting Incineroar that much with flying type moves, that much with, especially with fire type moves, Terra Bug is kind of nice as well, and it keeps you resisted against fighting types that Incineroar normally doesn't like to come up against. So I do like that. I like that. And the only attacking move here that he has is Flare Blitz. Besides Fake Out, since Fake Out only works on the first turn you're out, Flare Blitz is also really good here. It's pretty nice. It's just like a one fire way to kind of get you off the field and kind of just make things work for yourself. And then adding the Parting Shot onto that, this Incineroar is literally just here just to come in, Fake Out one time, Parting Shot, and leave. If it's too much trouble, Protect, stall out a turn and wait for the ally to do something, Parting Shot afterwards, come out. If you want to apply extra damage, Flare Blitz in afterwards. This Incineroar is really good. It's purely for support, but I love this Incineroar. This Incineroar set is really, really good. And I think a lot of people are going to start using this type of Incineroar now, because this is crazy. Of course, we have the Screamtail, and Screamtail has popped up in a lot of popularity lately because of the Heatran team that's been coming around a lot. And I'm not surprised. Screamtail has been really, really good. I have also been someone, I'm guilty to say that I've slept on Screamtail. I did not think Screamtail was going to be any good. I didn't look two ways at Screamtail. I thought it was just kind of that whatever Pokemon that kind of did something, but nothing too crazy. But it won a UIC, so clearly my mind's changed now. We've got the boosted energy to boost up its speed as well as the Terra Dark to steer clear of any pranksters as well. Since this thing is extremely fast, you're going to want to steer clear of pranks as well. Protect, Encore, Disable, and of course the Perish Song. Next up is the Koraidon. Now, Koraidon was also quite interesting, and I think this is the first time Koraidon actually won a major. So, of course, Wolf had to get a Pokemon that's never won a major before and get them to win a major. Of course he did. Normally, we'd see something like a Clear Amulet on the Koraidon, but this time we run with a Life Orb just to impact that little bit of extra damage. And considering that if it does get hit with Intimidate, Life Orb almost keeps it in check and keeps it out of balance there, so you can sometimes take a -1 off of that as well, which is always like not the worst since Life Orb is there. So I'm not mad about it. It's quite nice. The Terra Fire, because of course that is the best that's the best Terra you can go for here, takes off your ×4 weak to Fairy into a resistance, which is quite nice. And of course you just have a ton of fire type moves that can just help you at your disposal. Protect, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, and Flame Charge, standard set for Koraidon here. We also have the Floodamane with the Focus Sash as well, going into the Terra Normal to help steer clear of any Astral Barrages from the Calyrex as well as any other ghost type moves like the Floodamane Mirror matchup or anything like that. Protect, Icy Wind, Moonblast, and Shadow Ball. This Floodamane is literally here to either slow you down to make things a lot more easier for you, or to just apply as much damage as humanly possible until everybody just drops. And finally, you can't have Perish Song without the Gothitelle, with the Leftovers and the Shadow Tag to prevent your opponents from switching. Terra Water as well, just in case, to keep yourself safe, because Terra Water is a very good natural defensive typing as well. Protect, Psychic, Fake Out, and of course Taunt to help you steer clear of things like getting caught up in Trick Room or getting caught up in any other situation. It's a very nice set for Gothitelle as well. But congratulations to WOLFE GLICK. Congratulations to everybody who got their placements. This was an absolutely amazing game, and I want to touch on my own team, but that will be in another video in the future. But we are going to jump into the top 8 and the top 10. And on the day 1 for the restricted Pokemon, Shadow Rider Calyrex absolutely going at the top spot here with 19.4%. Again, there were a lot of players this time around. I think there was like 1,000, I think it was like 1,200 they said, which was absolutely insane. That's for the Masters Division, which was absolutely crazy. Then we have Miraidon coming in at second place with 17.4%. Ice Rider Calyrex slowly following it afterwards. I'm assuming it got third place because everyone's trying to figure out how the regional team worked last time that won through Justin and Shelia and Tang. So a lot of people have probably got their eyes on Ice Rider Calyrex, which is why it's so low. Zamazenta keeping consistent at the 4th place slot with 13.8%. I absolutely love Zamazenta, and I love how consistent Zamazenta has been. Same with Terapagos as well, getting at the 5th place. And then following up is the Kyogre, the Koraidon, and the Groudon. Again, pretty much the same 8 restricted Pokemon. I can't lie and say that these 8 are definitely the best ones to go for. Every single thing about these guys is so good. Like, I love everything about these 8 Pokemon, and I can't really see anyone else kind of taking another spot from these 8. These are just the best ones to go for if you're making a team in Reg G, in my opinion. Then following that is the non-restricted Pokemon. Going up at the number 1 slot is the Rapid Strike Urshifu with 55.3%. That is a lot of Rapid Strike Urshifu, and it shows. Rapid Strike Urshifu is an amazing Pokemon, and honestly, I think it is by far one of the best Pokemon ever made. Broken, yes, but good. absolutely. Incineroar as well, following very slightly behind at 30% on the dot at second place. We also have Pokemon like Amoonguss, Half-Flame Ogerpon with a 0.1% difference each. Amoonguss taking third at 27.8 and Ogerpon Half-Flame at 27.7. We also have Rillaboom following that. Not many players are using Rillaboom that much, and I don't really think it's anything to do with Rillaboom itself. I think it's just because Rillaboom is very, at this point, niche, depending on what you want out of your team, and sometimes Rillaboom just doesn't fit the mold, and that's fine. And we have, of course, fan favorites as well, like Raging Bolt, like Fluttermane. We've got the Whimsicott and the Farigiraf as well to coincide with the Miraidon teams that we've been seeing a lot. Chi-Yu just scraping that last place slot at 16.9%, and I can't lie, Chi-Yu, I'm surprised it's not getting as popular as it should be. I feel like Chi-Yu is going to get way more usage as time goes by, but for now, I kind of like to see Chi-Yu getting the top 12 slot. I love this little goldfish. Then going into day 2, going back to the restricted Pokemon, Shadow Rider Calyrex still staying at that top spot. Finally, Shadow Rider Calyrex has actually cemented itself at the top spot. Normally, we've seen Shadow Rider Calyrex either hit the top spot for day 1, but not day 2, or we've just seen it straight up not even be in the top 2, which is kind of insane for Shadow Rider Calyrex. It's an amazing Pokemon. It is quite honestly, I think it's the fastest Pokemon in the format outside of Regieleki. It is absolutely insane. This thing is absolutely cracked. Following that up is its counterpart Ice Rider at 17.1%, so a 10% difference there in Ice Rider Calyrex. Goes to show how really popular Shadow Rider Calyrex is becoming. We have Miraidon after that, and Zamazenta. Everybody else is kind of staying firm at their own individual slots, and it's basically just the horses plus Miraidon shuffling around their spots, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, everyone's just cemented their spots, and I honestly I can't lie, this is really good. Like, this is really good. Everyone's starting to get cemented with the legendaries that we're seeing, with the restricted Pokemon that we're seeing, and it's becoming a very stapled format, considering that we are probably halfway into Regulation G and everything's starting to get cemented in place now. And I'm not the biggest hater on it. I think it's really nice. Following that up is the day 2 non-restricted Pokemon, and Rapid Strike Urshifu is just going up and up, staying at that top spot. And of course, looking at the top 3, we have the big 3, Rapid Strike Urshifu, Incineroar, and Rillaboom, all hitting the top 3 slots in their respectable zones. Amoonguss following shortly behind after that with 29.8%, Half-Flame Ogerpon right behind him, same with Raging Bolt staying exactly where he is, Chi-Yu getting a little bit more usage, and Iron Hands finally popping up as well in the top 12. Iron Hands, again, same with Chi-Yu, I feel like is going to be very underlooked, and I feel like a lot more people are going to maybe try and use Iron Hands a bit differently. I would be one to say that I would also be one of these people that would love to use Iron Hands differently than just sticking it in a Miraidon team. I think Iron Hands does have really good potential, and I would love to see him get used so much more in this format while we still have 2 months left. But that is it for today's EUIC recap. I will be making another video talking about the team that I personally made for EUIC, and I cannot wait to show off what exactly we used and how we used it. It was such an amazing experience, honestly, and I cannot wait for next year. So again, congratulations to everybody that attended, congratulations to everybody that got their spots. This was such an amazing event, and I cannot wait for the next one. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I will catch you all in the next video. Right guys, take care, bye.